Thank you very much. Hold on. So get that clip ready to go, and we'll be back with our next guest here in just a moment.
Why is it important for younger people to really start expressing how they feel about things? Why is that so important?
Because people all around the world, they think the black people can't do nothing.
And what is the best way to disprove that idea?
Because Martin Luther King told everybody to get along, but the white people kill him.
Well, and that doesn't make you scared at all, so you still want to speak up, though?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm not shy. I can stand up for myself.
Okay, and last thing, what do you want to say to the other kids about why it's important that they should stand up and speak their mind too?
Because when they speak their mind up, they could get strong, and their mind could get better, and they could read and learn and stuff, and they could get a good education.
Okay, my next guest is Chief Condra Ridley. Chief, welcome back to the show here.
Thank you, Eric. Glad to be here.
I appreciate your taking time out to come out because this next segment is just tailored for you. I created a term, or I used a term that you created. I'm sorry. I call it now the Condra principle,
okay,
where I capture young people articulating a point of view in a way that you never hear young people speaking before because they never ask certain types of questions. And I was just curious, any comments on what young Miss Pope had to say? And at the time when she did that, she was in the 2nd grade, I believe, and now she's in the 3rd grade.
Awesome.
That was impromptu.
Very good.
Right off the top of her head. And any comments about her depth?
Yes, I'm very excited to hear Miss Pope. I've never met the young lady, but she exemplifies what I see in a lot of our young people. She is very, very clear in her thinking. She's able to articulate her own ideas, and she's very powerful in her delivery and in her belief in herself. She has confidence. She has self-control and apparent intelligence. And I'm always especially proud when I see our children able to express themselves with that kind of confidence and just intelligence. It's great.
Because when I had a chance to interview not only this young lady here, but other young people, I would speak with the parents afterward, and they had no idea where these kids got these insights from. And I know that I read about how within your DNA, whatever your foreparents went through in life, ever how many greats you want to go back, that those experiences are encoded in their DNA and encoded in the offspring's DNA, because that helps to explain why kids are born with certain knowledge that they shouldn't be having.
I believe in ancestral knowledge. I believe that our DNA is very powerful, and in it is encoded the things that we are supposed to carry through. So I feel like the dreams and the hopes of our foreparents, they are carried out through us, through the children, and all of the progeny. As time goes forward and the generations come and go, I think the dreams and the aspirations and the desires of our ancestors are fulfilled in us.
So is that why you are dressed in African attire tonight?
Well, it's Black History Month, and for the past 35 years I have always done something in tribute to Black History Month. And I don't look at Black History Month as just a 1-month thing. For me, my history is important to me. It's not a mystery to me, and I've made it my purpose to learn as much about my own family history, African American history, African history. Those are the things that I'm interested in, because those are the things that make me strong. I feel like when you know your history, it gives you strength. When you know your history, there's a quote that says, "When you know your history, you know your greatness." And I just feel like it's so important for us to always recognize and know our own history in order to be able to take the lessons from history and apply them to our present so that we can move into a powerful and more productive future.
Where are your Africans from?
I think I really do believe that my African ancestry is from Niger. And that's, you know, a lot of people say Niger. But I met some people. I've looked at a lot of people from all over the continent, and I don't know yet for sure if that's where my family is from because we haven't done the DNA testing yet. But from the way the people of Niger look, I just think that they resemble my family members more than anybody else that I've seen.
Because I did do mine.
You did yours? Where's your family?
Nigeria.
Okay.
Is it Togo?
Okay.
And I think Cameroon.
And Cameroon. That's great, Eric.
And a whole bunch from England.
Wow. Okay.
And that's the scary thing, but unfortunately.
Well, you know about those Hackloots, right? You know they're from England.
But I got to ask you. But with you being in touch with your African side, how does that influence your feel for African American history and the things that we're going through today? I mean, what I'm saying is somehow you've connected the dots to show that things that just didn't start in the '60s.
Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah. There's so much to our story, and it's so rich, and it is so. It's for me. I find it to be very, very inspirational and motivational all the time, because I think for people to have been kidnapped and brought to a land that they knew nothing about, to be brutalized, treated cruelly, deprived of everything, their culture, their history, their faith, everything that was about them was stripped. And then still to be able to accomplish and be able to compete with people who started out 10 steps ahead. It's quite tremendous to know that we come from that kind of historical background.
Now, you sat here during the first segment, and you heard Reverend Fincher talk about how things were in Alabama,
Yes.
and that's where your folks are from too, I think.
Exactly. My parents, my parents both were born in Alabama, northwest Alabama, Huntsville, not Huntsville, around the Huntsville area, but in cities called Tuscumbia and Florence, Alabama.
Okay, what I'm driving at is one part of Alabama wasn't any nicer or any worse than any other part, I wouldn't assume. I mean, I would think that my point is, with us knowing so many folks from Alabama, how did they get over the idea of wanting to kill white people? I mean, it would seem like, I'm not advocating killing anybody, but I'm just saying that when you look back and you hear the stories about how things were in a plantation atmosphere,
Sure.
or that if you push back, I didn't ask Reverend Fincher, but I'm quite sure that if you saw a Klansman and he did something in your yard and you pushed him or something like that, you probably wouldn't be living here to tell about it.
That's true. Right.
But yet these guys hold no animosity today.
I think that just speaks volumes to the quality of people that came out of Alabama, and I think it speaks volumes to the fact that these were people who learned about, they learned biblical principles and applied them to their lives, and so things like doing murder for murder, it wasn't a thing that they chose to do. It was not. They did not choose to live that way. They chose to live a more superior way, God's way. And I think that has made all the difference, because America could have been a whole different kind of place if our ancestors had chosen to treat their enslavers the way they had been treated. It would have been a bloodbath in America.
And I think that's in the mindset or in the psyche of a lot of people too.
Oh, I bet. for those people who know that's the way they still think and feel, there's still a lot of people who believe in an eye for an eye. What you do to me is what I'll do to you.
I mean, no, I mean, I'm talking about when President Obama came into office, a lot of people felt that he was going to try to enslave white people, or try to do the big payback, and take their guns first, and then.
Okay, true, yeah. Well, that's a small mind, that comes over. And there are plenty of those.
Those people are dangerous too.
That's absolutely right. That's true.
What originally attracted you to Rosa Parks?
After just seeing things about Rosa Parks, and then recognizing that she had been pivotal in the direct action civil rights, movement, and how her one movement of resistance helped to kick off an entire series of events that helped to bring about some of the greatest change in America. That's what really made me interested in her.
I mean,
she was a quiet woman, a God-fearing woman, very studious. She was not, a lot of people don't realize that she was a person who had been involved in the NAACP as a secretary for years, 13 years, I think she had been involved. And she had also gone and studied at different places, trying to learn different principles about social change. And she was a smart woman.
Now,
serious.
I don't know how many times you have portrayed her in the public, talking about her.
Yes.
But when you do that, and when people are standing back watching you as Rosa Parks, are you channeling her?
To a degree. I want to honor her memory by letting people know the dynamic person that she was, and trying to, embody her with her voice. I've watched videos of her and listened to her and read lots of books and articles about her in an effort to try to honor who she was. And I think that's, I do the best I can do. That's all that I can do. But she's an awesome person. And she demonstrates to me the power that one person has to make a difference. And I think we all have that same kind of power if we choose to exercise it.
But, two things on that. Number one, I've ridden the bus here in Fort Wayne a little while.
Okay.
I've noticed that when black people get on the bus, zoom, right to the back.
That's interesting.
I mean, I watched that. I mean, young ones especially, they go right straight to the back of the bus, almost like, they don't even think about, it's straight to the back. And I'm just wondering, man, this is, I just watched,
Well, could that be the ancestral ways, showing themselves again, and how, since there was a time when we had to sit at the back of the bus, maybe they just repeat that. But the one
that is the answer. That is the answer. Absolutely, I do. Because, again, I see these ventures, and you met Mary Roberts.
Oh yes.
And you'll see she come back right quick on you. You say something across to her, she's gonna come right back. But some people won't.
Okay.
I mean, they'll say, okay, you smack this one here, now smack this one. I mean, they are very passive. They learn the rules very well in terms of don't do this, don't do that, don't speak up, don't speak back, don't walk over there, no eye-to-eye contact. And I watch people, and they're doing that today. And it's got to be a direct connection back then.
Back to those times. Well, what we have to realize is that it really hasn't been that long, if you really recognize it. 1954 was when the Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, when that decision was made. I guess it was passed in 1955 or 54, 55. But that was when the separate but equal education was broken down, and education was, you know, forced to become integrated at that time. That hasn't been that long, Eric. That's our lifetime. So 60, 62, 63, 60 years, that's not that long a time. And it takes a whole lot longer for hearts to change than it takes for laws to change. You can change laws, but you got to do a whole lot of work to change your mind and to change your heart so that your behavior can change.
So just looking back then, it's like Reverend Pitcher just said,
Yes.
in the 54 and 55, you got Rosa Parks and Emmett Till.
Emmett Till, right. That's awesome.
That's about the same time as when I was being conceived.
Yes, right.
and being born.
Right, exactly.
So, and yourself too.
Exactly.
So is it possible that those time periods had an impact upon our lives without us knowing it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, history, we're all a part of history. There's no way we can escape it. You know, we either challenge it, try to make some changes, and that's why I value history and think it's so important for us to study it, because when you study it, it will teach you things. And I think out of the entire civil rights movement, listening to Reverend Fincher talk, and I know how valuable his family has been here in this community, and also I'm sure when they were in Alabama, that fighting spirit, that spirit that teaches you to fight for what is right. It's something, like you said, his mother was marching. You saw his mother marching here in Fort Wayne years ago, and she was up in age at that time. Just like, you know, I feel like we're the elders now, but she was still fighting for what she believed was right. And that's what when we look at our history, it'll give us that direction and help us to know what it is that we have to do. If you have any doubts or just are anyways unsure about what it is you need to do, you just need to read some of the history that was written by other African Americans, because nobody can tell our story for us like we can tell it for ourselves.
But see, the funny thing is, though, a lot of those people can still tell that story today.
Sure.
And that's why I'm so upset with pastors, and black pastors specifically, because a lot of those people from that era, they're getting older now.
Right.
And, you know, the time is going to expire here, you know, and again, if their stories aren't documented,
Right.
they didn't happen. Because you got these historians around here writing this stuff.
That's true.
And they don't mind changing the facts. As a matter of fact, you're going to make a point.
No, I was just saying, well, you've done a tremendous job over the years, videotaping and asking the pertinent questions of some of the elders and people who have been at the forefront of our struggles here in Fort Wayne. And you just need to go directly and be more vigilant than ever, Eric, in trying to you can't let, ministers or anybody else get in the way. You can go directly to these people by contacting their family members and gaining access.
But a lot of people, they really don't. They don't want to share these stories because they feel like you're prying and that you who are you? You're not, no white person has sent you here, so therefore you're not validated. And the Reverend didn't okay this. And people do look to the Reverends to validate anything that's different, because there's nobody going around here trying to grab these histories and put these histories in perspective, because it seems a little wild. One person even said that I was working for the FBI.
Well, I think we do have our local African American Genealogical Society. I think they have been trying to break through, and it just might be a time now for those of us who are interested in trying to get these stories that are dwindling quickly, leaving quickly. We're going to have to maybe draft up some 20 points, 20 questions that we could ask of our elders, and maybe if you give the questions to family members and then go in and videotape a family member asking their own elders, maybe that would be a way to break through it. But there's a way. There's a will, there's a way.
But see, that's why I wanted to have you come on this segment here, because even though the clock is being turned back civil rights wise, and you kind of feel like I do, pardon me?
I said, if we allow.
Well, if Donald Trump is going to stay in office and he's going to be appointing these Supreme Court justices, Thou will be done.
I still always say there, you know, it's still the people. And I feel like the people need to reclaim their power.
But yet you're saying the America the Beautiful on the beginning and end of this show here.
Okay.
And I too believe that we can change things. But you see, I'm not wearing my Star Spangled tie here tonight because I'm kind of wavering here a little bit, because I see that when I came out of college, I bought into political propaganda by Dick Lugar. You young people stay home, change things. Well, 35 years later,
what really has changed?
you know, and the rhetoric is gone. The doors are closed. People are making up history all day long around Fort Wayne, and blacks don't want to hear it. To a large extent, some blacks don't want to hear it. You know, hear about the history of this land or anything about history at all, because they're saying the civil rights stuff is beyond us. You know, it's over with, and these Indians ain't got nothing to do with nothing, and they don't see how these histories tie together. But yet, you feel that not only are you saying the America the Beautiful for us, you think that we can define our own way. Why, real quick here?
Probably because I believe that right will prevail. Right is might, and I just feel like the time, just like Dr. King and Mrs. Parks and many others said, the time is always right to do what's right. So I just feel like we don't need to be dismayed. We don't need to let ourselves get too distracted by, you know, the things that are going foolishly in our country. You know, I don't want us to get too caught up, but I think if we stay focused on the things that we have the ability to affect change on, right where we are in our local communities, you know, helping each other still, pooling our resources, you know, thinking in ways that we find out what it is that we can do for ourselves and do more for ourselves, we can make it through this. We've made it through worse.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric.
And that's the end of our Black History Month special edition show. I hope you got something out of this, because I learned a lot today from Reverend Fincher and Chief Condra Ridley. So again, thank you all for watching. Good night, and God bless you.